Today's the anniversary of Van Halen's 1984 album, which is an interesting record because it is maybe their biggest record as far as sales, or one of them certainly. It's
Definitely
also
their biggest Dave record, sure.
Yeah,
I think 5150 is their biggest
seller overall.
I think so.
More than 1984?
I think so.
I'd actually be surprised, but okay.
I had heard for a long time a stat thrown around that they actually sold more records with Sammy than Dave. But I find that hard to believe. Although radio play, they got more airplay with hits than Sammy.
With Sammy, way more. When you think of how big songs like Right Now were, and I mean, they had some massive hits.
But I'm just thinking the 1984 record, you're talking about Panama and Jump and Hot for Teacher.
And those are your four singles right there.
That was a huge record.
How does that album stack up with you?
1984? Probably second to least favorite of the Roth records.
Diver
Down's probably the least favorite, just because it's
I'm so with you.
27 minutes and half of its covers.
Right. It's not it should have been an EP. Yeah. It really should have been.
But 1984, I'll never forget this. I mean, I was working in a record store when 1984 came out, and Jump came as the first single. And I remember like yesterday putting the needle down on the record, the 45 was a single, and hearing this wash of keyboards, and I was horrified. I remember all the people that I worked with in the record store who didn't like Van Halen. They heard that song and they loved Van Halen, and I was walking around horrified because I was like, whoa, where's the guitar? Now, of course, on the rest of the record there were more prototypical Van Halen songs, but to me, Jump and I'll Wait on that record were huge scary signs.
They were. I remember thinking the same thing, like, this is not the band I signed up for.
No.
This is very, very... But then you heard Hot for Teacher, and I'm like, okay.
House of Pain.
House of Pain, yeah.
I mean, yeah. But I still, even to this day, like some of their biggest songs, Hot for Teacher and Panama from that record, neither of those are even in my top 20 Van Halen songs. Not even close. No, so it's an interesting record because it was so huge across the board. It's also interesting because it was the end of that version of the band.
Yep.
So it came out, 84. What is it? Huh? What?
No, 84.
Yeah, no,
look like you were going to guess.
I'm doing the math. It's 33 years. 33 years ago, right? Math was never... Look at us geniuses counting.
Three guys just looking at each other with blank looks.
Eddie Trunk, Trank Nation, Sirius XM 106 volume. We'll be right back.
This is Trank Nation with Eddie Trunk on volume Sirius XM 106.
All right, we've been talking a little bit about VH, and this is the 33rd anniversary of 1984. And I remember working in a record store when it came out. Remember dropping the needle on the start of that record and being stunned and scared and upset about the dominance of keyboards on the record, which in a lot of ways was a precursor. 1984 was significant because it was probably Van Halen's best-selling album with David Lee Roth. So many huge hits: Panama, Hot for Teacher, I'll Wait, of course, Jump. But it also was the end of that version of the band after that tour. And in 86, we got the 5150 album with Sammy Hagar debuting as the singer. And I think Eddie Van Halen really realized the success he had introducing keyboards into 1984, and then a powerhouse singer like Sammy Hagar who could sing anything, he incorporated that and took it a step further throughout the history with Hagar to also great commercial success. But I'm curious, as Van Halen fans, how you look back on 1984, because for me, I look back on it as being, I don't know, not necessarily where Van Halen jumped the shark, because I agree there's some great songs on that record, don't get me wrong. But I loved the leaner, meaner, more raw, no keyboard Van Halen of the earlier days. What do you guys think? As we remember 1984, 33 years ago, Mike and Maryland's. What do you think about 84? You like it or no?
Hey, Eddie, yeah, I like it, but I just got to say, I bought the album the first day that it came out. I remember everything exactly. I knew a girl at the record store, so I got the promo poster and all that of them standing there. And I was already a big Van Halen fan before that. But, yeah, I'm with you. I was a little disappointed with some of the keyboard stuff. And I must say, I'm a huge fan, but I got to say, when Jump or Panama comes on the radio, I usually change the channel. And I really like some of the deeper cuts, like Girl Gone Bad and House of Pain, stuff like that. Some of the more rock
Drop Dead Legs.
Drop Dead Legs.
Yeah.
Another one. And I don't know, I'm sure you know, but I don't know if any of the listeners know, but go on YouTube and search for a demo called the Zero Demo. It's Van Halen, and it's all the old songs. And some of the songs on 1984 album are on this demo, which came out before their first album came out.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Mike, and I've heard this many times, thank you for the call, that House of Pain actually is one of the earliest ever Van Halen songs. It took 6 albums for them to finally record it, but that album existed like in their that song existed in their earliest days. I remember, like I said, I was horrified when I heard the keyboards, because you have to remember, Jump was the first single that we got from 1984. So you didn't know if that was just going to be that song, or I was mostly concerned because, okay, I could live with it just being that song, but are we suddenly going to hear that dominant keyboard sound on an entire Van Halen record? That was where I was really scared, which of course turned out not to be the case. There's keyboards in All Wait, but that's really about it. The rest of the record's a full-on harder rockin' record, but it signaled, more importantly, I think it signaled where Van Halen would begin to start going and get a little bit more melodic and introduce that into the sound. Eddie in North Carolina. Hi, Ed.
Hey, Ed. How you doing?
Great.
I like it. I'm a 1984, and like the House of Pain. That was on their very first demo. I just seen a documentary of that, and some of the people on there were talking about that they already had hundreds of songs wrote. So probably their whole catalog was wrote before they even put a first album out.
1 to 6, Eddie. 1 to 6. Where does 1 to 6 of the first 6 albums? Where does it slot in for you? What number?
4.
4. Okay, I got it at 5. You got it at 4. Okay, thank you, Eddie. Appreciate the call. Tom in Canada, you're on Trunk Nation.
Hey.
How are you, man?
Good. I was 11 when I bought that album. It was the very first Van Halen record I ever got. The keyboards didn't freak me out at all because it was 1984.
But you also, Tom, if that was your first record, had you heard Van Halen before that?
You know what? I don't think I had.
So you had nothing to be freaked out over because you didn't have the history.
True, but having said that, I didn't really care about 1984 or Jump. Stuff like Drop Dead Legs, Hot for Teacher, Girl Gone Bad, like all of those songs are the ones I listened the hell out of. And it always fast forward through 1984, Jump. Even Panama got old quick, and I was 11.
Yeah.
But the rest of the record is deadly. It's perfect, just about.
You're right. I mean, Girl Gone Bad is killer, and so is Drop Dead Legs. Those are probably and House of Pain, my favorite songs. I am that guy for sure, through and through. Like if I listen to 1984, I'm jumping over Jump, I'm jumping over Panama, I'm jumping over Hot for Teacher. I'm not saying they're not great songs, but I am one of those guys. I do not listen to the songs played to death. I do not listen to the hits. I am the complete opposite of what most people are. I am the complete opposite of what mainstream classic rock radio is programmed to. I don't need to hear those songs ever again. Now, you put on House of Pain or Girl Gone Bad, then I'm all in. I'm cranking up the radio. Tyler in Georgia. Hi, Tyler.
Hey, Ed. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I've got it at number 5.
Same as me.
But I've got kind of a similar experience as you. I was living in Minneapolis at the time. I was 13 years old, and they world premiered it on the radio at midnight. And they actually played the intro to the album prior,
Which I think, Tyler, that intro piece is actually called 1984, I think, right?
Yeah, it is. It is, yeah. And so they played that. So me and my brother kind of looking at each other like, all right, what's going on here? And so we're expecting, when it's over, this big build, and it's going to just kick in, and obviously you get the keyboards, and we were like, oh, what is this? So we had the same experience, but when I bought the record the day it came out, took it right home, put it on track 2, just skipped the first 2 songs, and at the time we didn't know Panama, and I was like, okay, now here we go, this is good.
Yeah.
So now I will skip Panama like you and other callers have done, but at the time we didn't know it. So Panama was like refreshing. It's like,
right.
Oh, this is great.
Right. It was the game. It was the relief. It was like, okay, I'm
serious. It was crazy. Yeah. I mean, I was like, oh, this can't be the whole record. Please.
Thank you, Tyler, for the call. I got to run. Thanks, man.
All right.
See ya. That's just it. I mean, you have to put yourself in that place and time. Van Halen it was all about Eddie and the whole guitar pyrotechnics, and all of a sudden, the open of this record is this keyboard piece followed that. I mean, what is this? And then you're like, okay, then it's going to come in, but there's going to be some chunky guitar riff that's just going to blow this out of the water, right? And no, there's your happy, bubbly little. There it is, happy, smiley, bubbly. Dee, 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 dee. Like, no. Now, Alex, do you have House of Pain?
Yeah.
Now this is what we're talking about right here. Turn that up. Now, this is the shit. That's dark and heavy right there.
The difference in your facial expressions from song to song.
Come on, man. This is Van Halen. Not even a contest. But listen, what do I know? That Jump was probably their biggest hit single. But it wasn't my Van Halen. We got to take a break. We're late for this break. Let's take care of this. A few more Van Halen calls as we wrap up on a Monday. Trank Nation, Sirius XM 106 volume.
This is Trank Nation with Eddie Trunk on volume Sirius XM 106.
A few more calls here to wrap up. Jim in West Virginia. We were talking about Van Halen, 33rd anniversary of 1984. What do you got, Jim? Where does it sit 1 to 6 for you?
5, like you.
Like
right
me, 5.
Diver Down.
Diver Down is unanimously number 6 hole, it seems like.
Other than Where Have All the Good Times Gone, I couldn't even tell you what's on that. I haven't listened to it since
The Full Bug.
1980.
The Full Bug is pretty good on that. Little Guitars is pretty good on that. There are some good songs on it. It's just there's covers, and it's just a very short record.
Yeah.
Apparently your dog, Jim, agrees with you at number 5 or disagrees. I'm not sure.
We just got home, and my Jack Russell doesn't like to be kept waiting.
Oh, all right. Well, Jim, thank you for calling. We'll let you get back to your dog there. Thanks for listening. Cliff in North Carolina. What do you got, Cliff?
Hey, what's up, brother? Always good to talk to you.
You too.
Real quick, before I rip you a new one about this 1984, I want to enlighten you as a bass player. The beginning intro, 1984, yeah, it's got keyboards on it, but if you talk to your boy, Mr. Anthony, if he's listening, that is him on the bass guitar doing those swells. He's using like an envelope phase, I think it is. But
so you're saying that piece called 1984 that opens the record is a combination of keyboards and a bass effect?
Yeah, and if you talk to Michael, I'm sure he would confirm that. But yeah, that's him.
Okay.
I didn't know that until I got a Diver Down bootleg video, and he does a bass solo where he's using that same effect in the bass solo. So, but real quick, dude, number one tied with not Fair Warning, all Women and Children First. 1984 is number one for one reason.
Wow.
It's got the greatest Van Halen song ever written and recorded. Girl Gone Bad, dude. The fucking groove, the riff, the solo. They played that on the Different Kind of Truth tour in Charlotte a few years ago. My jaw hit the floor, man, and it was amazing, dude. That song right there is better than anything in their catalog.
Well, I admit, Girl Gone Bad is killer, but I'm not going to put it. Thank you, Cliff. I'm not going to put it that high. Like, you talking deep cut Van Halen stuff. In a Simple Rhyme is one of my favorites from Women and Children. But of 1984, Girl Gone Bad, House of Pain, Drop Dead Legs would definitely be the three that I love the most on the 1984 record. Josh in Illinois. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Eddie. 1984 weighs in pretty heavy for me personally due to the fact it was a gateway album for me. My dad brought me up on Deep Purple, loved Deep Purple, but, I was like, my era was Van Halen. And my best friend, Ed Black, introduced me to them. And it gets me shaken up at times. Just good memories.
33 years ago. How old were you, Josh?
I was in the 6th grade. I was probably, 10, 12, I'm guessing?
Right.
Somewhere around there. My mom just being aghast at the Roth lyrics on, he's back and she's back in the seat, My mom being very conservative religious, whereas my dad, it's complete. I don't even understand how my parents got together, with the music my dad listened to and the type of person my mom is. But that's another story.
All right,
that album, I'd have to put it probably in the top 3 Van Halens for me.
All right, Josh, thank you for that. We are out of time here for Trunk Nation. I'm sorry. Have a good one.